people. So I'm going to do something that's a little bit controversial, but I gotta make a. I had the question about the subject, and I've had some very clear ideas. I don't know if I've ever done a video on this before. If I have, great. If I haven't, great. It's just the way I'm doing these things now. If I have done it before, oh well. But the subject of old guard. This is a thing that existed mostly due to the internet. This was something that I believe that this concept of old guard is merely more of a myth than it is a reality. I've never considered myself old guard. I've never even, and once in my entire time that I have been doing this, called myself old guard, and I never will, because to me, it's a myth. The old guard is. There really is no such thing as old guard. It's a myth. The only old guard that there was, they didn't consider themselves old guard when they were old guard. They were the gay leather community of the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's really that simple. Maybe into the 70s and maybe in the early 80s. These were people who lived by the code that was put out by the Leatherman's Handbook, not by shit they read on the internet. This is something that that came into its own existence by the heterosexual male dominant community trying to make themselves sound bigger and better than they actually are. I don't need to say, I am old guard and I live by these rules and by these standards. I don't need to do that. I think if you do that, you're basically pointing out to me that you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're just living by a book. You're living by a standard that really doesn't exist. But yet, you think that by saying old guard, that you make yourself sound bigger and better and badder and all blah blah blah. Okay? It's the same thing with the Gorian, I'm a Gorian master. Okay, no. You're a master who has read the stuff coming out of the Gorian lifestyle and decided to incorporate that into your relationships. That's it. I don't like this concept that that there are specific styles of being masters that you have to follow specific rules and specific ways of doing it, and every person you deal with is exactly the same, and this is what the old guard mentality gives you. This is the way I act with every single person, regardless of the situation, and that to me is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. Okay, and I know there's going to be people that come on here who are, who do consider themselves old guard and are going to get pissed off at me, and that's fine. I don't care. The thing is that the first and foremost thing that you need to do is learn to be a good master. If you want to then incorporate specific styles of militant, a militant dominant style, a daddy dom style, a old guard style, a Gorian style, that's fine. That's fine. But first and foremost, learn how to be a fucking master. Learn how to actually do this, and understand that just because you have a small set of rules that was given down to you by some guy in the past does not mean that set of rules works for you and or anybody else. Especially when it comes to the different girls you're going to deal with, or the different boys you're going to deal with. You're going to wind up having to deal with them on an individual basis. And yes, you might like having sets of rules and guidelines and things like that, and I understand that. Rituals and responsibilities are all things that are all good and necessary as part of being a master. But you cannot sit here and tell me that there is a set of rules, A, B, C, and D, on how to be a master, and that it works for everybody, because it doesn't. It just doesn't. It does not work. That set of rule does not exist. And if you can show it to me, then I will be more than happy to retract this. But I absolutely guarantee you that there is nothing you can send me. You have my email, you have my FetLife thing. You can find me, you can email me if you want. You can do whatever you like. I'm not that hard to get a hold of. Get a hold of me if you think I'm wrong. prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. I have been doing these videos for years now, and beyond maybe one or two little things that I have said, one of them specifically about gore, about the writer of the Gorian books. Beyond that, I don't think I've ever really been challenged on anything I've said. So the thing is that if you think I'm wrong here, you think that there's an absolute system that works, send it to me. Let me review it. Let me look at it and see if I see something interesting and good. But the thing is that I'm pretty much going to guarantee you it doesn't exist. What works for you and the other individual. Period. If you want to have a long-term, ongoing relationship, you're going to have to bend and modify the rules to fit the individual person. Old guard mentality doesn't allow for that. Gorian mentality does not allow for that. And I am not a person who's going to sit here and say, yeah, there's one system that's right for everybody, because there's not. So, but, like I said, you know what, if you've been watching it to this point, I don't think I need to repeat anything I've said. You know, like, subscribe, do all that other stuff YouTube likes. Get a hold of me, links in the description. That's it for now. Be well and safe.